The film begins in a rainforest in South America, where a fierce battle is raging between two armies. Amidst this chaos, a man named Shozo Iwaki calmly walks into the scene and takes a moment to light a cigarette before jumping into action. He charges towards the enemy, skillfully avoiding grenade explosions, and punches his way through them with ease. It is revealed that Shozo is on a mission to assassinate Colonel Joseph, who leads the opposing army, and is assisted by two other men named Takuzu Kakuzu and Santaro Denjiro. Meanwhile, Colonel Joseph is devising a strategy to defeat Shozo. However, he unexpectedly appears on the roof of their headquarters and single-handedly defeats Joseph's men, leaving him alone. Shozo then challenges Joseph to a duel, despite only wielding a wooden stick while Joseph has a complete firearm. Undeterred by this, Shozo fearlessly faces off against him, and easily defeats him in the end. After defeating Joseph and his army, Shozo found himself confronted by even more enemies. Despite this, he managed to outmatch them, even daring to catch a blade with his bare hand. Takuzu and Santaro then arrived on the scene, armed with firearms, but Shozo forbade them from shooting as he wanted to finish the fight fairly. However, just as he was about to deliver the final blow to his enemy, a woman appeared and aimed a gun at his head. To his surprise, the man Shozo had been fighting alongside, Akao, praised his skills. Akao then revealed that he and the woman, Asuka, were secret agents of the Japanese government who had come to meet Shozo with important news. They informed him of his father's death, who was the boss of the Iwaki clan, a powerful Yakuza organization. His father had died in a riot and had called out Shozo's name before he passed away. Initially, Shozo was not interested in the news as he had a strained relationship with his father and had left Japan years ago because of it. However, in the end, he and his team decided to return to Japan and parachuted back into the country. Soon after, Shozo and his two men arrived at the Iwaki clan headquarters, only to find out that the place had been taken over by loan sharks who invited them in. One of the loan sharks then admitted that they were members of the Shimada clan, which had an alliance with the Kurawaki clan. They also revealed that the Kurawaki clan had become the most powerful Yakuza group in Japan. This information made Shozo suspicious and led him to suspect that Kurawaki was the one behind his father's death. Suddenly, one of Shimada's men attacked Shozo, but Shozo quickly defeated him. This led to a big fight with Shimada's men, causing chaos in the room. Shimada, who had just returned from the bathroom, entered the room and did not realize that Shozo was there. Shozo took advantage of the situation and attacked him and his men. Despite being afraid, he tried to fight Shozo with all his skills. However, he was no match for Shozo and was knocked down by Shozo's powerful punch. On the other hand, in a building, the Yakuza clan has gathered to attend a meeting chaired by Kurawaki. Unexpectedly, he invites all the Yakuza clans to unite under his alliance. However, some clans didn't agree with his idea and even felt suspicious of him because they thought he violated the Yakuza principles of loyalty. The leaders of the Yakuza clan heard rumors that Kurawaki killed Iwaki, who was Shozo's father. Back at Shimada's office, Shozo is interrogating Shimada about his father's death. At that time, Shimada reasoned that he only took care of the money-lending business. Hearing that Shozo was dissatisfied with Shimada's answer, so he hit him with a golf club, which resulted in Shimada's battered body and broken leg. Finally, he admitted that he wasn't the one who killed Shozo's father. Hearing this, Shozo concluded that someone else killed his father. Meanwhile, Kurawaki is chatting with Madame Nayako, one of the leaders of the Yakuza clan. Soon after, he approached her, but she rejected him and arranged an arranged marriage with someone else. Unfortunately, he was rejected by Nayako again. When she leaves, suddenly Kurawaki's man named Uri appears and talks about Shozo. They both don't know that Shozo has returned to Japan. Shortly after, as they were discussing Shozo, Kurawaki received a phone call from Shimada's office, but he was surprised to hear Shozo's voice on the other end of the line. Shozo had beaten up Shimada once again to send a warning to Kurawaki. Shozo then challenged Kurawaki to a fight, stating that Shimada was no match for him. Hearing that, he accepted the challenge and they beat up Shimada together. After the fight, Shozo, Takuzu, and Santaro walked around the town and noticed tall buildings that had not been there before. Suddenly, a ship collided with Shozo's shoulder, causing him great pain. As he was still recovering, Nayako appeared and aimed a gun at him. Fortunately, Shozo managed to dodge Nayako's attack, but she eventually caught him and beat him up while sitting on top of him. However, once she had finished beating him, she hugged him, and the previous attack was just her way of letting him go. She then made Shozo promise to marry her when she returned to Japan. However, he secretly ran away without her knowledge. After successfully escaping from Nayako, Shozo and his two companions headed to a bar owned by his old friend named Genji. As soon as they arrived, he ordered his favorite dish, spicy fried noodles, and happy soda. While he was eating, Shozo noticed a picture on the wall that reminded him of his past with his friend Tetsu. Before leaving the country, he used to fight with Tetsu to determine who was the stronger of the two. However, their fights were always interrupted by his father, and whenever they disobeyed his orders, they would be punished by being hung upside down on the temple's pillar. Despite the challenges they faced, Shozo and Tetsu were close friends, and Tetsu considered him like a brother. This was evident when the two of them were imprisoned together, and they made a brotherly gesture on their shoulders. Meanwhile, Nayako was seen at the bar drinking alcohol and looking upset. However, things took a turn when two mysterious figures arrived and Tetsu appeared looking terrifying. He was on a killing spree, seeking revenge against those who had betrayed him despite having fought for his Yakuza clan for 5 years. Sadly, his efforts went unrecognized, which pushed him to take matters into his own hands. Soon after, when Tetsu arrived at his clan headquarters, he saw that his younger sister named Ayumi was being hurt by his boss. This made him extremely angry, and he wanted to attack his boss right away. However, his boss did something unimaginable. He shot Ayumi to death. Seeing that, Tetsu was full of fury and blindly attacked his boss. Later, Shozo was feeling very worried when he discovered that Genji's cafe had been destroyed. Genji also told him that Nayako had been kidnapped by Kurawaki. Hearing this news, he became very angry and quickly rushed to Kurawaki's place. There, Nayako was being held captive at the Kurawaki headquarters, dressed like a high school student and in danger of getting hurt by him. But before he could harm her, Shozo had already arrived at his headquarters. At that time, Kurawaki was surprised when he realized that all of his men had been defeated. He then ordered Uri to send assassins, but this did not deter Shozo because he knew how to handle them. Shortly after, Shozo ordered Takuzu to light the dynamite they had prepared. They planned to use the dynamite to demolish Kurawaki's building. After the dynamite exploded, all of Kurawaki's assassins were killed. The building was reduced to just 2 floors, and Shozo challenged him to a fight. However, he chose to flee to the helicopter instead. Then, Shozo chased him to the roof of the building, but unfortunately, the helicopter shot Shozo, injuring his hand. Despite being injured, Shozo still attempted to fight Kurawaki. However, he didn't want to waste any more time and threw a bomb at Shozo. After that, he and Uri got into the helicopter and flew away, laughing loudly. Meanwhile, Nayako, Takuzu, and Suntaro were sad and believed that Shozo had died. To their surprise, he survived the explosion and still looked strong, even though he had lost his right hand and left leg. He even had enough strength to shoot Kurawaki's helicopter, causing it to crash. Not long after that, Shozo was visited by Japanese government agents, Akao and Asuka. Asuka unexpectedly shot Shozo with a stun bullet in the neck, causing him to be arrested. However, Akao explained that they did not want to put him in jail but instead wanted him to become the strongest Yakuza in Japan. Meanwhile, Kurawaki and Uri survived the helicopter crash and are hiding in a remote location while planning their revenge. On the other hand, Uri, who has high intelligence, creates a serum that can turn humans into zombies. Elsewhere, Tetsu was seen carrying his younger sister's coffin while walking. During his journey, he remembered the moment when he decided to leave the Iwaki clan because he couldn't match Shozo's strength. He even turned to drugs because he was feeling stressed. At night, Tetsu was overwhelmed with grief and drugs, but Kurawaki and Uri found him. Then, Kurawaki offered him Uri's serum, which would give him power similar to Shozo's. Intrigued, he drank it without hesitation. Later, Takuzu and Suntaro waited anxiously in a remote mountainous area while Shozo underwent surgery by doctors and scientists. Soon after, Nayako arrived with Asuka, so Takuzu asked about Shozo's condition. When Asuka didn't give a satisfactory answer, which irritated him, causing him to try to provoke her. There, Asuka got offended and started to beat up Takuzu and Suntaro, but Akao stopped her. He revealed that he and Asuka's goal was to stop Kurawaki, who had an extensive network both in Japan and abroad. If Kurawaki was not stopped, he could take over Japan completely. On the other hand, besides Akao and Asuka, there are some agents who have a different mission. Their task is to eliminate Shozo. When they entered Shozo's operating room, they saw him lying there unconscious. But just as they were about to attack him, Shozo woke up suddenly and shot one of the agents who was coming towards him. He was shocked to see that his right hand had been replaced with an automatic weapon, a machine gun. As the other agents prepared to attack Shozo again, he reflexively fired his gun hand. And it turned out that his left leg had also been modified into a rocket. At that time, Nayako and Shozo's 2 other friends were furious with Akao and Asuka for using him as an experiment. They couldn't stand seeing their friend being treated like a lab rat. However, Akao assured them that Shozo would become the strongest person in Japan. In contrast to Nayako and his friends, Shozo was overjoyed and grateful to Akao. He felt stronger than ever and knew that he could not be defeated with his current body. However, Takuzu warned him not to act recklessly, reminding him that his mission was to avenge his father by taking down Kurawaki. The following day, Nayako and Shozo have a private conversation. At that time wants to talk about their engagement, but he refuses because it was their parents' wish, not theirs. Then, Shozo tells Nayako to move on and forget about him. Hearing that, she is annoyed and suddenly the weapon in Shozo's hand activates, causing her to fall. She is very disappointed with him and decides to leave. On the way, Nayako meets Uri, who informs her that Kurawaki has started to make moves. Meanwhile, Kurawaki sends his zombie army to attack Shozo. But then, Shozo quickly aims his weapon and fights back, slaughtering Kurawaki's army. However, the army keeps growing and he starts to feel overwhelmed. While Shozo is busy fighting, Naoko is kidnapped by Kurawaki and taken hostage in a truck. Tetsu, who is ready to fight against Shozo, is also on the truck. After finishing off all of Kurawaki's troops, Shozo felt bored and wanted to kill Kurawaki right away. However, Akao forbade him from doing so because he wanted Kurawaki to be captured alive. There, Akao warned Shozo that if he disobeyed orders, he would be deactivated via remote control. Hearing this, he smashed both the remote in Akao's hand and moved to find Kurawaki. But on his way, Shozo was confronted by a naked girl whose body was also modified into a weapon of destruction. The two of them immediately engaged in a fierce battle, but he realized that the girl was being controlled by a mysterious figure. As the fight continued, Shozo saw a sign that made him immediately think of Tetsu. His suspicions were confirmed when he discovered that Tetsu was the mysterious figure and the naked girl was his younger sister's body. Despite Shozo's friendly greeting, Tetsu continued to attack him due to feelings of jealousy and envy. There, he was forced to defend himself and inevitably had to beat Tetsu. Seeing Shozo's growing strength, Tetsu deployed his ultimate weapon. At that time, Takuzu and Santaro wanted to help Shozo fight, but he refused their assistance, as he wanted to finish the fight in a manly manner. Soon after, Shozo and Tetsu engage in a fierce battle, with Shozo eventually coming out as the winner. However, Tetsu has been contaminated with Uri's serum and is no longer the same person he used to be. There, Shozo is forced to kill him, and before he passes away, he and Shozo share one last smoke together. Meanwhile, Kurawaki is seen resurrecting Iwaki's corpse and planting a weapon of mass destruction in it. At that moment, he takes pleasure in recalling the moment he killed Iwaki. However, Shozo arrives and fearlessly faces Kurawaki, who has modified his genitals into rockets. Then, he fights Kurawaki using only his bare hands and manages to defeat him by pulling out the cables in Kurawaki's body, throwing him in the air, and shooting him. The film ends. The moral message of this film is that peace, forgiveness, and reconciliation are more desirable than violence and revenge.